Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babshoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. I guess I changed the last part. I thought that sounds a little better. Let me know. upanditshow@gmail.com instead of living life raw, which I kind of like, but living life on your own terms. Today's episode 217, and it's from consumer to producer. And that's living life on your own terms. We got some stuff, I think it's getting pretty safe to say that the system's going to crash. If it doesn't, who knows how bad it'll get or what, but it's got to dip. They're printing money out there, at least here in the United States for us people here. I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. Let me know what's going on. Email me. I've got a couple people from China and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting to know what's going on in your neck of the woods. But as far as over here, what I can tell, wiping the morning shit out of my eyes. Morning commute is my vehicle, by the way. It's the only time I get to do these podcasts. But we got to start figuring out something if it does crash. We're going to need to understand basically the whole layout of what's going on. Why would a system crash in the first place? Why would we be affected? Why would someone like me be way less affected than the majority out there? Because I've been devoting my entire life towards becoming more of a producer than a consumer. I want to start off. This is a freelance show here today because I got a kind of critical drive I got to do, so I can't be looking down at my notes every 5 minutes. But we need to understand what's going on here. There's a closed loop system. There's an open loop system. Let's consider like a water pump bringing water into a pipe. And consumerism is like a U shape. There's an entryway for the pipe to receive water, but when the water goes into the pipe and is utilized, it is very much needed. Maybe it cools the pipe, it quenches thirst, it wets some things, but at the end of its cycle, it just shoots out the back end and never to return. That's what we're living, guys. Now, a closed loop system is something you can put, you can attach attachment to a pipe that's in a circular pattern, right? And when the pump brings water into it, it goes into a circle, and the pump knows to shut off because the water's already full. It just keeps going in a circle until it gets used up. That's what we've got going on here. Like, I would love to share an idea with you guys as far as becoming a producer, not a consumer. I'm in the midst of experimentation with tomato plants. Growing my own food is a good way to combat all. To produce your own, become a producer. In a closed loop system, a system that just keeps running and running, one of the experiments I'm doing right now is I've grown my tomato bushes and I've let them go over through the winter. They're grown in a greenhouse. These are from 2020, the summer of last year. And what happened is all the branches got all old and gray and dirty and dying and everything. And then right at the base of it, the root system has still got a structure to it. It's shooting up new shoots. Now, I don't know if it's going to produce a lot of tomatoes because of the root system and everything, but what we have an opportunity for an observation, for a test, is to clip off the suckers, right? The little branches that are starting to sprout out. You take a tomato bush, and you can do this, by the way, with a fully established tomato bush. But let's finish this first story. I'm going to take these things this year, and I will report. You'll cut them out. You're going to take out the bottom leaves and just leave like a little palm tree. You're going to stick this directly in some moist soil. And what's going to happen is there's little nodes on the trunk of these seedlings, these tomatoes. And what those are is little hairs too on them. They just want to go and root out. That tomato bush is made so if it lays on the ground, it immediately starts to grow roots and just begin another plant. It clones itself. It starts reproducing itself. Now that's the power of what we can learn. Lessons from nature today is observing the tomato. Wherever the tomato gets tired and extended itself so far to produce tomatoes and fell on the ground, it will literally start reproducing more of itself, its babies, and therefore giving more fruit. This is the gist. And I wanted to tell you guys about healthy plants. When you're growing food like right now in the springtime, grow some tomatoes, and what you're going to have is you're going to have a little Y, right? It's almost going to look like a little person sticking their arms out in the air, but right hanging off the side is going to be a sucker, is what they're called. Let that sucker develop into about a 6-inch length, and you can either crimp this with your finger or cut it with a pair of scissors and start cloning. And it's literally not. I know what some of you might be thinking. It's cloning. You know, it's totally natural. The plant would do it anyways. Take these suckers off and start sticking them in the dirt. You will get, probably off one tomato bush, you'll probably be able to grow yourself about 30 to 40 different tomato plants instead of going to seed and going through all that trouble. So this is the kind of mindset that I'm looking at, that we need to start thinking about, modeling ourselves after a tomato. We need to become tomatoes, people. You get what I'm saying? You guys didn't think I was fucking loony enough. Now I'm telling you to become a tomato. We do have, I don't know if these troubling times are gonna come. And I know a lot of people are probably looking, going, you know, Adrian, I've got to work a lot. I don't have a lot of time. I'm not saying go out there and just start fucking city-steading. For those of you who don't know, that's what I've coined is kind of a mini farmstead, but in the city. I know you don't have a lot of time, but do things, start getting yourself familiarized with stuff. So you can make you can get mason jars, right? And you can make yourself one little batch of sauerkraut. I don't got time to discuss it, how to exactly do it in here, but it's very, very simple, guys. Very simple. Some salt, maybe some vinegar, depending on what you want to do. There's all kinds of fermented foods where basically you'll take and just chop up a bunch of cabbage, throw it in a jar, and make a brine, set it and forget it. You can put all kinds of cool like herbs and stuff in it, and just make one jar. And what happens is you're growing probiotics for yourself, right? You'll be eating this fermented food. You can put on your hot dog, depending on where you're from. You know, if you're from Boston. But the sauerkraut is really good for you, really good to keep your gut and your health going. And it's pretty much a set it and forget it kind of thing. We should do a show on fermented foods. I don't know, I'm not getting much comments, so I have no idea what anybody's interested in. But to move from a consumer to a producer, what needs to happen, right? And is this even significant? I just told you about how to produce, to get 30 tomato plants, maybe plus 40, off of one tomato plant. You can either barter, trade, sell. You can grow all your food without having to do much work. Literally go over there and clip the branch, peel off the bottom leaves, stick it in the dirt, set it and forget it. As long as that dirt's got a timer with a water pump pumping water to it, so you don't have to do shit, you will come back in 3 months and you'll have a giant tomato bush in every single one of those things. We're reproducing, we're becoming producers. The sauerkraut, same thing. It may take you about 10 minutes, 15 minutes of one day. You'll have enough sauerkraut tablespoons of your own probiotics, and in my opinion, more healthier probiotics than you get in capsule form, because these are living probiotics, right? The bacteria and everything that's in there. Everything has food, has something to eat. And it's free. Go try to buy a bottle of natural living probiotics. It's a lot of money. In your stacking functions, you get a little bit of a meal. And if you do it just right, there's so many different variations. You can get something that you really like. You may have to refrain from eating the whole damn bottle. So when we look at what is being fed to us, we are consumers. We are being fed by factories, by machinery. If you guys follow my show, remember what I said. A lot of people enjoy talking shit about the system, pointing the finger outwards, and I do too. But I gotta look sometimes at what I'm pointing at the evil creature, and study it in its habitat and its movements. How does it move? What does it do? What is its habits? And in the habits, we notice that where we're going to consume products that are being sold to us, these are like factories. They have machinery. So when I look at this, how can we, as I always say, long-term listeners, run our lives like a business as well? This is how we hone in our money. We start investing our money, or we at least start understanding how much money we're spending. We start budgeting. We start using programs such as Apple's Numbers, Microsoft Excel. We know that we got to pay taxes. These are things we can't get away, but at least we know the amount and we can do some planning. That's called business, people. Now in your home, it's the same thing. You're using that product, that money that you worked for, to pay for water, to buy food and things. And how many of you have had stuff just go bad? Or how many people are eating shitty foods because you think that you can't afford it? You can't afford good foods, healthy foods. I'm here to tell you, you can buy all organic foods. You just got to change your habits, and you may need to invest in some machinery. So let's talk more about these machinery. Mason jars are a really cool one because they're very simple. These are things that you can make smoothies in. I use mason jars for everything, for leftover soups, put them inside the freezer. I recommend that you guys, I have no sponsors on the show, but I recommend that you guys invest that have the money in stainless steel lids that have a little silicone gasket. You'll have these lids for the rest of your life. They're not plastic, and they're better for the planet and actually better for your pocketbook, because my experience, the plastic ones will crack every once in a while. I got them back here in the back of my pickup truck full of fresh squeezed vegetable juices and things like that. I used to stack them on top of each other. Not a good idea. But let's look at some more of the machineries. My juicer. I can't afford to go buy juice. You go down to Costco and you buy a big old thing of that Sahura celery juice, or it's like $9-10 for like a quart. And that stuff lasts forever. I don't know what they're putting in it, but you can get yourself a head of celery for like, I'd say $4, and you can get an entire quart of that same juice. In fact, you can doctor it up, put yourself some Himalayan pink sea salt, some lemon juice in there, and add maybe a little bit of carrots, some ginger, some garlic, and make it actually 10 times better for half the price. But what allows me to be able to do these things is that machinery. I've got another juicer that makes nutter butter, right? Nut butter. You can take raw peanuts and cooked peanuts, cashews, whatever you want. It'll pulverize these things, and you can actually make a butter, which is very healthy and cheap. And very natural, no preservatives. I think that's my big thing right now, is getting away from preservatives. I understand that a lot of stuff is organic, but how the fuck could an organic loaf of bread last for like over 2 months? I got it in my fridge now. I should do a video on it. And it's still not moldy and still not hard. Okay, yeah. But there's all kinds of different machineries, dehydrators and stuff. And I'm talking more about producing food, I guess, in the home. So I hope you get my gist of... I was talking earlier in a couple episodes about an air fryer and a pressure cooker. You can can foods and all of these things. You can take that overabundance that you have and preserve your tomatoes and make tomato sauce pasta and stewed tomatoes and things like that. When we move a little further into investing in such things as tools, right? And you have a tool called a phone, and you have YouTube for free. A lot of stuff that I've learned how to repair and fix and build is all because of YouTube. But I've invested into tools such as power drills, and I've got wrenches and things like that to wrench on my vehicle. So when something goes bad, instead of being a consumer and going to the mechanic, I can try to tackle it myself. And I advise, I guess we're running out of time here, but this is my rant, guys. I think an entertainment I had, maybe I should just do a part 2. I don't know. I think I should do a part 2 because I'm really jazzed about this one. On my list here, I got money, food, energy, and entertainment. There's so much that we can produce instead of going and consuming. I'll leave you guys with the last one is, go do yourself a favor and make a list of things that have made you super happy. Like you'll notice, like for me, playing with my dog, that when she was wagging her tail, when she was alive still, she was able to jump around and stuff. Just seeing that smile on her face and cuddling with her. I would take my body like a hot dog bun, and she'd come and wedge her face right into my stomach, and I'd reach my arms around her and hold her belly and rub her belly and put my cheek on the end of her ass right by her tail and just hold her with my entire body. And she would just give a big sigh, and it was like just full-blown connection. Playing with my children, running on the beach, a lot of these things, making some really, really cool new foods. Like I've been getting into Thai cooking. I bought myself a wok, another tool. Notice though, a lot of these things that were really, really fulfilled didn't need money, right? They had nothing to do with money. Isn't that fascinating? That sushi is my only problem though. It's like, get the fuck out of here. You telling me that shit didn't taste good? You telling me it didn't put your taste buds up in heaven? Huh? It's like, yeah, that's hard. That costs a lot of money too. But there's, for the majority, a lot of things is just connections. I think most people could be sitting across from each other eating $100 meal, $1,000 meal, and the biggest thing that you're going to get is that connection that you had with somebody. So think about that. Write yourself down a list and wonder, and look at yourself and say, what can I do to become a producer instead of a consumer? I think we're going to do a couple little episodes on this because this one's very fascinating to me. I think it's very important, very much needed. Again, I don't know. You guys got to let me know. This is like talking to a wall. I have no idea how many listeners we have going on here. I don't even know if this is really significant to what people want to hear. Maybe it's just baby talk bullshit. I think most people want to, watch baby puppy dogs fart and stuff like that. I do these shows because I do believe that there's people out there starving to get out of the system and into something new. They just need some direction, or maybe they're out of the system and they want, like me, and I really crave that. If you're into this sort of stuff, man, I'm just hoping there's somebody else there that I can talk to about these things that we can build upon. I'm going to take a few more minutes on that, because if you are out there and you're off grid, or you're sort of off grid like me, where you're utilizing, you're spin farming the system, right? You're in the system, but you're not. I would love to talk to you. When all of us put our minds together, this is what the greatest investors and people do. As Robert Kiyosaki and a couple other people I listen to on occasion, these investors, to find out what's going on with real estate, which is interesting enough because you can kind of find out what's going on with the economy. But they all these masterminds, millionaires, they get together once a year on a ranch and they read a book together, and they all discuss the book from their different points of views. And they do this because it's very profitable for them. They all learn something from each other. So if you're out there and you're city-steading or homesteading and you've got some views, some perspective on things, I would love to hear from you and just become friends. Let's talk. Let's video chat. I'm fucking bored, guys. I'm a single dad. I don't want to spit out my whole story, but this is my life. I'm not into much. I'm into everything and a lot of different things, but I'm mainly on how can I repair the earth? How can I live my life easier than what I'm living? How can I make more money? How can I make more smarter money, but maintain my freedom? That's what I want. That's what I want for people. But if you're out there, upanditoshow@gmail.com. I'm blabbering my mouth off. So that's the end of the fucking show. Jesus, tell somebody I need a referee to blow the whistle. Guys, if you like this thing, it's Up and In It. Check it out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere we can find the podcast. Please give me a review, thumbs up, thumbs down, middle finger. Wouldn't that be cool if they had a middle finger on YouTube, by the way? Where you're not thumbs down, you're like, fuck that. But anyways, share, like, subscribe, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And as I always say, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it. And bone it the way you